Alright, so today we've got a bit of a different video. Ubisoft reached out and invited me to early access for the second time, which I'm pretty happy about. So today I'm just going to take a little bit of time to give you guys my first impressions on everything I played around with, which was mainly Gryphon. I'm not going to go too deep into anything just yet because I want to use all this stuff in a game against a lot of other people first, especially the testing grounds changes. And I spent, a majority of my time in early access just playing against bots. I mainly want to talk about Gryphon and his character now that I've gotten my hands on him for some time and got to see firsthand what he looked like in motion while controlling him rather than just looking at things from the stream. As always, if you do watch these videos somewhat regularly, I'd really appreciate it if you sub to the channel, as it really helps me out. Now let's not waste any more time and get right into it. Okay, so Gryphon. It felt really weird to launch the game and not only see 9 knights on the hero selection screen, but it just felt different to be using a new character. This year as a whole has just felt odd. Anyways, out of my time using him so far, I actually do think he'll be a lot of fun to use for a lot of people. He feels really good. There's a lot of flow in his kit, as in you're not just stopping after you perform any given action, and you can easily get to your chain finishers. He also hits pretty hard. Looking at the damage numbers alone, you may not really pay it any mind, especially post CCU, but while dueling with a few friends, I found that our health bars were actually draining pretty quickly. I like how you can do bash into light, into kick, into heavy, or do a dodge attack into a chain finisher or a kick, or zone into a chain heavy, or light into kick, so on and so on. It all feels really good. Now, none of it is really new. We've seen everything that Gryphon has to offer mechanically and somewhat visually when it comes to just fighting, but with what is here, I like it. He'll be a lot of fun to use in team fights if you can, put yourself in the right position. He's definitely not a Zhang Jun 2.0 or a Lawbringer 2.0. He is his own character, but as I said, not too much new about his kit. Honestly, his feats are the most unique thing about him. That and, the armor after a parry, which on its own is pretty nice. It'll really help in those situations where you land a parry and get poked out of your follow-up, or can't throw anything at all due to someone breathing down your neck ready to poke you out while their teammate escapes. After using Gryphon for a little while and just watching him while I fight, he actually looks pretty good. During the reveal, some things look sort of rough, but in game, he looks good. There are a few things that don't look too great. While there does seem to be some, force and weight in some of his animations, there are a few that just look off. His dashing top light, for one, and his heavy following his kick are what really stand out to me. Also, when linking certain chains, Gryphon will just sort of snap or pop into place, like when throwing a light after a chain top light. Now, while I really don't mind this too much because I care much more for, how the moveset performs and what can be used, and while fighting I don't really notice these things too much, I actually don't realize them until I'm looking for them. When you're on the opposing end of Gryphon though, it can look pretty silly, and hopefully one day UB will, smooth some of these animations out. As for attacks that we've seen from other heroes, I don't really mind them too much. We talked about this happening when Warmonger released, that it wouldn't really be that big of a deal if it fit narratively, and with Gryphon, it obviously does. He traveled the lands and learned techniques from other fighters, and if we are going to have a Chimera type hero, this makes sense. Especially if we're all sort of aware that UB just can't pump out, all new heroes with a bunch of new stuff like they did back in year 1 or with the Wulin or with the year 3 heroes. And if we are going to receive a hero with things from other heroes, I think this is sort of the best way you can do it. I prefer it this way rather than the Warmonger route. I like that he even says voice lines from other heroes. I think it's charming in a way. I was a bit worried that UB would, do the selected language voice lines again, especially with the whole, learn from other heroes things, and use that as a reason to why Gryphon would speak your selected language, but instead the voice actor did an amazing job. His feats are definitely interesting, and you're going to feel how you feel about them, but I am glad to see 4 active feats rather than 2 actives and 2 passives. And Yubi is really trying to make a supportive character here with these feats and those wide hitboxes on a few attacks, of course. I guess it even ties into his story a bit. His unique tier 1 is nice, although I won't run it too often. That's not to say it isn't useful, I just prefer fast recovery. He also has speed revive for those of you who like to run that. His tier 2, Draconite Mist, is actually pretty good for a tier 2. I saw a few people unimpressed with it. Sure, the healing values for all healing feats aren't like they were a few months ago before the healing feat nerf, but being able to quickly heal yourself and teammates around you during a group fight is very useful and can turn the tides very early on, as it's just a tier 2 and you all know how beneficial it is to win a big group fight. If you opt out of using Draconite Mist, his other tier 2s are Flesh Wound and Winner's Advantage. His tier 3 is Draconite Bolt. It is a crossbow with a fast startup and deals 30 damage to your opponents while also healing teammates around wherever the bolt landed. If you happen to be close to the person you hit with the crossbow, you will also heal yourself as well. This is another strong tier 3 that is useful in multiple situations. You can help out a teammate at a distance by swinging the health lead in their favor, or you can give a teammate some extra health to stall a little bit longer, or again, just like the tier 2, you can pop it in a team fight and swing the fight in your favor on top of your tier 2. You can miss the shot, but still, it's a strong feat. If you choose not to use it, his other tier 3s are Tough as Nails and Fury. And lastly, his tier 4 is the Draconite Cleanser, which is an explosive that deals a good amount of damage and leaves behind a healing point for you and your teammates, similar to Stalwart Banner. Again, it's another strong feat. I'm interested to see how it'll work in game with other people who are all popping their tier 4s as well, and the fireworks show that is the end game. I think this feat looks the coolest of them all, and you can obviously see how useful it'll be. It even has the added benefit of leaving the healing point whether you miss an opponent or not. So when the game does that thing where your throwables just go anywhere but your target, it'll still have some benefit to you and your team. If you opt out, his other tier 4s are Champion's Aura and Arrow Storm. And lastly, I want to talk about his fashion really quickly, the armor sets. I think the sets we received look pretty good. And one thing we noticed was just how different Gryphon could look at any moment. My Gryphon and say, our guy Toxic TV's Gryphon could look totally different, like totally different heroes. The Samurai inspired set and the Wu Lin set are very, very similar though, which is a shame, as I feel that those should and could be wildly different, but the other sets are nice. I like the Greek style quote-unquote knight armor, especially the helmet, and I'm hoping that one day we'll see the body get a smooth variation as well. Now, I believe that Yubi said that we could be seeing some new armor sets for Gryphon come the mid-season patch or title update 2, so here's hoping. Because while I think the sets look good, I'm always down for more sets to have my hero stand out from someone else's, and since the hero is gender locked and can only be male, this sort of limits the amount of variety we'll see. As I said, 2 Gryphons can look totally different, but if you want a samurai style Gryphon, you won't look too much different than another samurai style Gryphon, if you know what I mean. His weapons also look good, but for something like the Bardiche, I think simple is better, especially since his armor sets aren't too ornate. It is a shame that I can only use one set of weapons, the Lawbreaker set. Those of you who have been around the channel for a while know why I have no choice. But I do think that his weapon sets look pretty good as a whole. Overall, I think Gryphon is a solid hero. Despite what's going on, Yubi managed to get a hero out the door that turned out well. I'm looking forward to leveling him tomorrow once he drops into the main game, and I plan on playing him a lot more than I did Warmonger. I plan on talking about the testing ground stuff in a few days after I actually do some testing with those heroes with other players, and I think those changes deserve a video on their own anyways. Gryphon releases tomorrow for $8 US, and if you don't want to buy him with actual money, you can wait 2 weeks and buy him with 15,000 steel on the 24th, a day before Christmas. If you start now at 0 steel, you can definitely work your way up to 15,000 steel before then. Anyways, that's all I've got for this video. As always, I do want to know what you guys think, so be sure to talk to me down in the comments about anything we talked about in this video. And as always, if you liked the video, feel free to leave a like and sub if you're new, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.